The story begins as a man drives his van to a parking lot. He inserts a quarter into the parking meter, and then places his sniper towards the park in front of the building. After a brief moment, he starts shooting randomly. The shooter then runs away, driving his van. The police arrive, led by Detective Emerson, and soon find a sniper bullet shell on the garage floor. They also find a fingerprint on a coin and soon learn it belongs to an ex-army sniper named James Barr. The police raid his house and find the van used by the shooter, his sniper, and the ammo. James gets arrested as all the evidence points toward him. When Emerson and the district attorney, Alex Rodan, encourage Barr to confess his crimes, he remains quiet and simply writes, "Get Jack Reacher." They get curious about Jack, and after some investigation, they learn that he is a former U.S. Army military police officer who has been disconnected from the outside world for the previous 2 years. Rodan inquires of Emerson as to how they might locate Jack. Emerson answers that they can't unless Jack wants to be found. Just then, a man enters the room and introduces himself as Jack Reacher. He had seen the news about James's arrest on TV and came here. Jack asks about Barr, and they inform him that other convicts attacked him on their way to prison, and he is currently in a coma. Jack wishes to see the evidence against Barr, but Rodan denies his request and wonders why Barr asked for him. Jack decides to leave, but Rodan insists that he tell them everything he knows about Barr. Jack does not believe Barr requested his presence. But when they tell him about the note, he answers that Barr must have done this because he is crazy. Helen Rodan is the defense attorney working on Barr's case and the daughter of Rodan, the district attorney. Helen doesn't like that they didn't inform her about Jack. She wishes to question Jack about the case. Jack doesn't seem interested in the case and the defendant. He tells her that he came to Pittsburgh to bury Barr, not to assist him, which surprises her. Upon her persistence, he agrees to answer her queries before leaving town. They go to a nearby cafe, where Jack discovers that Helen is not a public defender but works for a firm that believes in helping wrongfully accused victims. Jack informs Helen that there's no doubt Barr committed the crime. He then explains that while they were in the army, Jack was the one who investigated his case. Barr was charged with killing 4 people, but he was freed as the victims were rapists. Jack also believed that Barr carried out the shootings in Iraq to relieve his own stress after training as a sniper for 2 years but never receiving an order to kill anyone. Jack tells her that he had threatened Barr that if he ever did anything wrong again, he would find and kill him, so he is here just to fulfill his promise. Jack wants to leave this town but changes his mind and decides to assist Helen in conducting her investigation. He then asks Helen to visit the victims' relatives to learn more about them. Helen visits the victims' families but is met with hostility and fears for her life, so she abandons this approach. While running, she meets her father, who is unhappy with her. He tells her that she will lose her career and that it is not worth it if she only does it to upset him. Jack approaches the crime scene and is being monitored by a man named Linsky. Jack realizes that the evidence against Barr is almost too flawless, as if someone wanted to frame Barr. Jack visits the police station and examines the evidence there. Detective Emerson wonders why he didn't take notes on what he saw. And Jack flexes his strong memory. He then asks Emerson why Barr paid for parking that day. Emerson speculates that Barr did it as a reflex, unaware of his actions. Later, Jack goes to a bar where a young girl approaches him and introduces herself as Sandy. Jack jokes that he can't afford her, and she starts shouting that Jack called her a hooker. Soon, a group of boys comes to defend the girl, and they invite Jack to a fight outside. Jack realizes it was a plan to beat him, but he decides to comply. They all go outside, and soon, the boys learn that they are no match for an expert fighter who single-handedly takes them all out. Some of them don't dare to face him, so they flee while the others get beaten very badly. Soon the police arrive at the scene and arrest them. The news of Jack's arrest reaches Helen, who visits his cell along with Emerson. Jack knows that since those men wanted to threaten him and were the ones to initiate the fight, they would not press charges, so he is very relaxed, and he soon gets freed. Jack informs Helen about the whole scene at the bar, how the girl was already aware of his identity, and that it was all planned against him, and the cops arrived too early as if they were waiting already. He also informs her that he has been followed but doesn't know who is behind it. Later, Jack asks Helen to look for Barr's credit card records and look for any place where Barr might have visited frequently. Meanwhile, Linsky meets Charlie in a dark alley and offers him the money bag he'd gotten from the man from Brookseal Construction. He also hands over a police report on Jack Reacher. Linsky describes how he recruited 5 locals to kill Jack, but it didn't work out. He also tells Charlie he murdered Jeb, the only attacker who knew him. Charlie doesn't like this as this may lead the police to them, and Linsky doesn't consult him. While the duo discusses this matter, a man named Zek also stands in the shadow, hearing all of this. He comes forward and then tells Linsky that he has messed up. Upon hearing this, Linsky swears to do better, so Zek tells him that when he was in the Siberian prison, he had to chew his own fingers to survive, and now if he wishes to save his life, he must also show similar dedication and chew his fingers. Linsky can't believe what he's hearing, but seeing the gun, Charlie points toward him, and he realizes he'll be shot if he doesn't do it. Linsky tries to chew his left thumb, then falls to his knees in agony, but after a few seconds, he shouts out that he can't do it, so Charlie shoots him. Helen gives the credit card history of Barr to Jack, who learns that other than groceries, Barr spent a lot of money on gas. Jack believes Barr was probably going to a shooting range. Jack then asks Helen to drop him off at Sandy's store. He meets Gary there, who tries to stop him, but Jack forces his way and talks to Sandy. She is scared that Jack must be there to harm her. So she starts blaming her friend Jeb for everything, as he was the one who asked her to do this. Jack takes Jeb's address from her and then drives to Jeb's house in her car. Jack reaches the place and finds Jeb's mother sitting outside. He enters the house and starts looking around. Meanwhile, the woman texts someone about his arrival. While looking around, he gets attacked by 2 men who try to kill him, but Jack manages to beat them. Their third companion comes, but he quickly realizes the difference in power and surrenders. Jack asks him about Jeb, but they pretend to be clueless. Jack then takes their car and goes away. Later, Jack informs Helen that Jeb was probably killed, and now they want to show as if he has left the town. Jack then describes to Helen his latest views about the evidence against Barr, and how it's all just too good to be true, especially the clean bullet stuck in those flavored liquid canisters on the failed shot. That bullet was what linked Barr's gun to the killings. Jack believes Barr requested him because he knew he would discover the truth behind it and prove Barr's innocence. Helen has trouble believing all of this and thinks that perhaps she made a mistake by selecting this case and then asking Jack to assist her. Jack then asks her if she doesn't believe him, she should run a check on a vehicle number plate that has been following him. He also hands her a folded piece of paper and asks her to check it later. Meanwhile, the bad guys realize that someone checked their number plate, so Charlie tells Zek that their cover has been blown, and now they can't follow Jack. Helen receives a phone call notifying her that the Audi is registered to Lebenhauer Enterprises, the corporation involved in the Archers lawsuit. Helen then unfolds the piece of paper given to her by Jack, and finds Oline Archer written on it, which shocks her. During Helen's investigation of the victims, she learned that Mr. Archer had health issues, and his business was also suffering badly. Hence, he decided to sell it, but he died, and then his wife decided not to sell her late husband's business. Jack tells her that the whole scene was just to murder Mrs. Archer and everyone else to distract them from the main target, and the killers used Barr's past record to frame him, so it must be someone who knew him well. Helen gets scared after hearing all of this, as she didn't sign up for such a dangerous case. She tells Jack she is just a lawyer and finding real criminals is the police's job, not hers. On the other hand, Sandy is killed for giving information to Jack. Later, Helen goes after Jack, gives him his car keys, and tells him about a shooting range that fits their requirement. She asks him to go there, and in the meantime, she will conduct further research on Oline Archer's legal history. Jack asks her not to do this as this might draw attention to her and put her life in danger. Emerson investigates Sandy's body, which was discovered near Jack's motel. He discovers that Jack stays there under a fake name, raising his suspicion. Soon Jack comes back to his motel and finds several cops' cars outside and someone losing a dead body which he recognizes to be Sandy's. He notices Emerson reaching for his revolver, so he quickly reverses his car, and everyone starts chasing after him. Jack manages to evade the police by stepping out of the moving car into a crowd of people waiting for the bus. They surprisingly decide to help Jack, and he hides between them. Emerson and Alex Rodan visit Helen and inquire about the whereabouts of Jack. They explain how Jack is involved in Sandy's murder, his use of Jeb Oliver's automobile, and the fact that he placed 3 more men in the hospital following a fight at Jeb's house. While Helen is speaking with Emerson and her father, Jack calls her. He informs her that whoever murdered Sandy wants him to flee, but he isn't going anywhere. He provides Helen with a way out of the situation by informing her that he stole her automobile and that she should report it stolen. He also warns her to be careful what she says to Emerson and her father. The following day, Jack travels to the gun club and meets with the owner, Martin, who denies knowing James Barr but decides to help Jack if he can shoot 3 bullets in the center of the target. Jack accepts the offer and luckily manages to shoot at the target. Jack asks him about his finest shooter, and Martin answers that it is James Barr and even shows him his shooting results. Jack is surprised by this as Barr was never so good, even in the army. He asks him to show the CCTV footage, and then it becomes clear that a man who was always with Barr was the one who changed the actual targets with these results. He was planning all along to frame James. Jack phones Helen and informs her of his discovery. Meanwhile, Helen is speaking to her father, and she tells him about her investigation into the illegal activities of Lebenhauer Enterprises. She informs her father that his next step as district attorney will reveal whose side he is on. Mr. Rodan thinks it's ridiculous but agrees to investigate it for her. He then picks up the phone to arrange protective custody, but she declines, realizing that she would be even less protected if her father or Emerson were involved. Later, when Detective Emerson is alone with Helen in a lift, he knocks her out and kidnaps her. Jack dials Helen's cell phone number. Charlie responds. He invites Jack to a location, but Jack initially shows no interest in saving Helen but later decides to help her and kill Charlie. But he tells him that he will meet them on his own time, and if they harm Helen, he will vanish and take his time searching down and killing Charlie. Everyone awaits Jack's arrival that night, while Jack meets Martin, who brings him some guns and offers to assist. He gives Jack an assault rifle and decides to help from a distance using his sniper. Jack drives Helen's car in reverse and comes toward them, but unfortunately, he hits a rock as he can't see properly. They all shoot at him, and Cash provides him with cover, which they were not expecting. The duo manages to kill everyone after a good team effort. Jack saves Helen by killing everyone, including Emerson. He then frees Helen and asks her to call the police while interrogating Zek. Jack assures Zek that he should feel at ease in jail, and Zek answers that he might not even go to jail as Jack has already killed everyone who might have proven his involvement in Sandy's murder. Jack realizes this is correct but is not ready to set him free, so he shoots Zek and kills him instantly. As the cops arrive, Jack and Martin leap into the pickup and flee. Helen is upset because Jack is leaving, fearing that he will vanish and she will be unable to find him. Helen visits Jack Barr, who has awoken from his coma. He doesn't recall the shootings but overheard nurses and cops discussing it. He assumes that if they say he did it since he's done something similar before and gotten away with it. Helen shows Barr images of the stadium, parking garage, and bridge while Alex Rodan stands nearby and asks him how he would have done the job. His opinion is exactly what Jack predicted, that he would have shot from the bridge as that would have been the best spot. Helen assures Barr that everything will be fine and she will take care of him, but he recalls Jack's vow to come for him if he ever did something wrong again. Meanwhile, Jack is on another bus when he hears a man in the back of the bus ranting and threatening a woman. Jack rises from his seat and goes to where the couple is sitting.